Now we're going to move on to demystify AI. And this session is going to be moderated by Priya Rajan. Is Priya here? Okay, Priya, come on up. And we also have Amit Walia. Amit is the CEO of Informatica. Is Amit here? There. And the third person here is Anurag Banerjee, who is the CEO of Quilt AI. So please take this away. Amit, good to see you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Excited to kick off our first panel of the day with two amazing speakers. We have Amit and Anurag, representing two different stages of an enterprise lifecycle, and also implementing AI in their own use cases. So excited to kind of dive in terms of demystifying AI with you guys. Maybe we'll start with both of you. Maybe you can do a quick round of intro and also talk about a bit about your company.
Sure. But demystifying it, that'll be a hard one. I don't think any amount of time can be spent on demystifying it. First of all, great to be here. Priya, good to meet you, Anurag. I'm Amit Walia, CEO of Informatica. Informatica is about a $2 billion revenue company focused primarily on all things data. Our goal is to basically help enterprises get their data ready for digital transformation. And of course, in the current world of AI, basically it helps them get ready for AI. At the end of the day, I always say, there is no AI without good data, and that's what we help companies do.
Great, thank you. Anurag?
Anurag, I run Quilt AI. We're a 20th of Informatica, so much different size. We stitch together information from the internet. We have three key stakeholders. We work with some of the largest brands in the world, helping them make better choices about the consumers they serve. We work with 19 of the top 20 philanthropies in the world, helping them address their beneficiaries in those gaps. And we work with about 150 super small NGOs from a capacity building on technology and AI.
Awesome. You know, maybe Amit, will start with you. Given that you are a significant player in the data management and kind of integration industry, can you talk about some of the use cases that you're seeing or the problem statements that you're looking to kind of use AI solutions to solve? And any specific, I know it's a hard question, but any examples of specific applications that you can share that provides value?
Sure. I mean, I think as we were talking earlier, I think if we kind of, before we go there, if we break into a very simplified way of how the AI world is being played out, and I'm dramatically simplifying it. I think if you break it into three parts of stack, hardcore infrastructure, then I call on top of infrastructure the layer of data, and on top of that, the apps layer. And currently, we see the huge amount of arms race going at the infrastructure layer. I mean, the semiconductors, the building out of the data centers, the GPUs, and on and on and on and on for companies to run their, at some point, AI applications. And this is probably the only time in my lifetime I've seen where if the cloud hyperscalers were not there, so much of build out is happening before any kind of true enterprise demand exists, because just so much amount of money exists, so people are just building it out, build it before they come. The second layer, and which is incredibly important for AI, is the data layer, and it's a broad data layer, databases, data management, all things data in a very broad way. And I think that's where the second huge amount of work is happening right now, because there is no value in the model without good data going into it. And the third layer is where generally the last mile, and I think that's where early innings are there, and there's going to be huge change, is the apps layer. I firmly believe there'll be a whole new stack of apps that will be replacing the current apps who replaced the old apps before. So I think that's one way to look at the stack. Now to your question, I think very early days, and people get so caught up because the world of World Wide Web, you can put any data into an OpenAI model, you get your answers when kids are doing their work. But when you get to enterprises, it's still very early innings, because I think you can cut it into two parts. Enterprises spend money in either growing their revenue, so revenue generating use cases, or save money, and I call them productivity different use cases. And both are happening at the same time. You can see revenue generating use cases. Well, how can I serve my customers better? How can I get the intent of my customer better? How can I make sure that I can understand new products better? By the way, including things like we are working with large healthcare companies. How do you create cancer cure better? By the way, cancer, I did not know, the hit rate of a cancer drug is actually 25%. Because the same drug doesn't work for everybody. So if they can understand through real-time information what your DNA is, my DNA is, and basically statistically get that done. And we can truly create just-in-time drug. It's truly valuable. And if we can take the 25% hit rate to 50%, meaningful amount of lives can be saved. So there is a lot of new product development, growing revenue, customer satisfaction, that kind of stuff is happening. Tremendous amount of work is happening on driving productivity. How do I basically drive costs down? I don't, for example, like how can I, people can't even hire enough resources. Can I still grow my business without having to go slow in terms of, so those are the two ways you can think about it. And every large company I'm talking to has projects going on both sides, but still very, very early innings on truly productionizing it and operationalizing it at scale.
Any examples?
Well, I mean, like, for example, I gave you the healthcare example.
Yeah, that's
We're
okay.
talking to a large retailer and basically basically looking at customer churn. And they're right now, the customer service agents, they just don't have a
Right.
full view of a customer. So when you call, you can be a very angry customer on one side, but a very happy customer on this side. How do they connect? So there's a lot happening in those two buckets.
Great, thank you. And Anurag, over to you in terms of like, you look at a kind of different side of a data. You focus on cultural intelligence, what we call it. And I think we call it anthropologically informed data models. One, I would love to know what that means. And also elaborate on how you leverage AI in this space. And especially we're talking about AI for social good here, in philanthropic and kind of social impact and DE&I that you guys focus on. Where do you see AI use cases?
It's like 19 questions in one. So we build models of understanding on anything that's unstructured from the internet. So TikTok video, an Instagram reel, search intent, reviews. To Amit's point, a good customer might be really happy about the service they receive from a bank, but might be really annoyed at the website freezing. And how do you bridge those two things together? So we built initially, before few shot and zero shot happened, we started actually physically tagging data, right? About 6 years ago, we started the company. And over a period of time, we built, I think, another 22 billion tags. Now it's much easier to sort of architect that. We take that and we apply that in the social space in sort of three ways. All philanthropies want to know why people won't go get tested for TB, to Mr. Wadhwani's point, or get tested for HIV. But the way they collect that information today or yesterday was very manual. They would send people into the world, they would do these surveys, come back, put that together. Today, you can get human sentiment, human thought, human choices appropriately translated, if you will, from the internet, right? So we do that. Then we run millions of generative AI campaigns on how do you ensure all of us go get our COVID booster, hint, hint. There's little data information there. And then the last thing we do, which is, I think, the funnest part of the last 6 months, is all these organizations have this thing called monitoring and evaluation, where they have a lot of data, and that data isn't then converted into meaningful outcome reports and given as impact reports. There's thousands and thousands of man hours that go into building that out. And to Amit's point, you load it up into GPT and you have charts and pieces. So we see a lot of that happening. We see big productivity gains happening in our nonprofit side, but even on our for-profit side, from a revenue perspective, a beauty company can get to a new product introduction in literally weeks. A fashion company can go from consumer sentiment to product in days, and that is something we're supporting and enabling.
Amazing. And, for both of you, we were talking offline when we were, like, just you handle large sums of data. And I think, Anurag, you brought up in terms of like unstructured data volumes that you deal with, we cannot get around without talking topic about ethics and like in terms of privacy, how do you deal with it? How do each of you are working in each of your companies governance? How are you addressing governance and, the important topic of, ethics? Maybe we'll start with you.
Sure. So there's, I think, two facets to that question. So one is there's a data privacy
That's right.
value continuum, right? And the value that we get by giving up privacy is has measures. So you give up privacy and you get qualified to get a loan. You give up privacy and you can be on Facebook and so on and so forth. So I think it's a bit of a red herring trick question in some ways. But I think when we pull data, the governance that we apply on it is anything that's not safe for work or has PII information in it, we strip out, we exit it, and then we apply a GDPR sort of lens on it, which is essentially any humanly identifiable individual information is extracted, and you can't dial it back to and Amit or
Yeah, I think, look, that is incredibly important. So my first belief is that, and I think that's not just my belief, I think that's the lowest bar that all of us will have to adhere to, both as software providers, as well as the industry, that ethics, privacy, and governance of data is incredibly important. And I think we've all lived in a world where data has been treated, our consumer data has been treated far too frivolously. So I believe that's the basic core that we all have to adhere to. And I'll split it into two. So from our point of view, look, we serve the largest of the largest enterprise in the most regulated industries: financial services, insurance, healthcare, name you. And whether it's regulations or even if you think about retail where brands can get impacted. So within our core products, we basically adhere to every possible way of dealing with privacy. Whether it's an individual customer data segregated from different customers, or within a customer, by the way, who gets access to what kind of data within a customer. And within that also, what amount of privacy and protocols you apply to in terms of who sees what. That's the way we deal with it. And we are very, very maniacal about it. On the other hand, I'll tell you that the biggest worry that every enterprise has is around data governance and privacy. So every large chief data officer or a CIO I've talked to in the world of AI, where every enterprise right now, by the way, AI or Gen AI is a topic at the boardroom level everywhere. And we use this word, everybody's ready for AI, but your data. But the biggest starting question that I get is, but what about governance? Because nobody wants to run amok and get to do something without having governance. So that's the first thing we see everybody investing in, to make sure that I have the right governance process. Now, you don't have to, you can be nimble about it, but without a governance base, no enterprise is investing in Gen AI. Very easy to take the internet data, put it in an open AI model. Very different when you go within an enterprise and you start putting transactional, mission critical data. They can't take a chance with that.
You know, Amit, just doubling down on what you just said, you know, a lot of the founders here who are looking to sell to enterprises like you would be interested from a buyer perspective. When you're considering AI solutions, how should one weigh between the platforms and the data aggregators and the application layers? How do you make that, you know, choice?
I mean, if you look at it, instead of looking at it that way, the way to look at it is that ultimately you right now, I mean, look, it's an arms race right now. And I think everybody wants to do something. In a lot of cases, people have a very ambitious end state. People can't create a work back plan to where they can begin. I think the biggest thing is all about creating value. At the end of the day, as to can you create some meaningful value without some moonshot that can take an eternity. At the end of the day, look, every hype cycle goes like this. We all get super excited, and there is always this Gartner hype cycle where you get this trough of disillusionment. It's going to come. It's going to come. It's natural in every hype cycle. It's nothing wrong with that. I think the ones who will be victorious are who can actually meaningfully create value, show progress. And the other one is that not getting caught up in this whole battle of LLMs that's going on. I mean, I think we've talked about that. I personally believe, and this could be controversial, I don't think, first of all, there's one LLM that can ever exist. And by the way, I don't even understand the logic of why do you need an L next to an LM? You need MLMs, you need SLMs, you don't need a large language model. And by the way, every company and every application will also create their own unique models that will be very customized, and they are all the right things to do. And I think if you can think like that, put yourself in the shoes of your end customer and create value quickly, you will be better served.
That's a great point. And, you know, for both of you, we're talking about the rapid evolution of AI, and, you know, Ramesh talked about it earlier as well. What are some of the key challenges that you're seeing within your own organization and like at large as people are adopting AI? And you touched upon a little bit, and how are you best positioned to overcome this?
Sure. So I'll address our enterprise customers first. I think there's probably three things happening. Everybody, to Amit's point, is acting on something. There's CapEx, there's a board mandate, people are doing something or the other. And we see there's like thousands of pilots happening in most big companies in some shape or form. In terms of what our sort of, you know, small company advice to these large enterprises, we give them two pieces of advice. One is controversial because we say that there's going to be productivity gains and there's going to be the core functions of, say, coding is going to get quicker, right? But there's a peripheral piece, which is going to be, because the coding quality won't be epic necessarily, and there's enough data on this now, that you need a lot of QA around it. when content is created, you know, QA around that. So you may need fewer core people, but you'll need a lot more peripheral people. And that's an interesting services support construct that's happening. The second thing is the ways of working. We think of things in 4 layers. So the cost of information went to 0 with search. Within the enterprise, there's the cost of knowledge and the cost of experience. So some people have knowledge and some people don't. Some people experience, some people don't. That's going to go to 0 really, really quickly. So all of a sudden, you've got C-level executives like Amit, and you've got this bloated middle management that has given up the benefit of cost of the knowledge gained and the experience gained, because that arbitrage has gone away. So what does a new way of working look like for them? And how do you then have, I guess, wisdom, which is the 4th piece. So our guidance is think about, you know, a world where knowledge is truly democratized. And you don't need 15 days to get a sales report on what SKU moved or didn't move, but that's available instantly. So what do you now do with the people in the middle? And that's going to be shocking.
Great point.
Yeah, I think, and to just complement to what Anurag just said, and I'll just say 3 different things. One is from our point of view, I think we are uniquely positioned because in some ways we have a platform and we have our native AI in it called Claire. And it basically is a Switzerland of all models or all data. So it basically allows customers and basically we have all the capabilities that typically is needed in this world, like data quality, data aggregation, data governance, and all that stuff for them to quickly go. And because it's consumption based, people can begin with a small use case and grow big. They don't have to worry about, I know the end state, they can just go. So that's one great value proposition we've had. And we've been the leader in our space. So I think there is an element of that customers can easily use that. So that has positioned us well. But coming to the second one, I firmly believe there's only 2 things people want to do. Ultimately, every organization wants to grow. So if you can go after what the growth initiatives are, and by the way, even productivity or cost savings are in the service of growing somehow. People want to figure out, can I save cost over here so I can invest in some other innovative initiatives, because no CIO or CDO or no internal organization gets unlimited budget. So if you can ladder up very quickly into where truly every organization's growth initiatives are, that's the best way to ladder up to something while creating that productivity value to help them fund that. And lastly, I think we can all serve use cases. I'm a big believer. Everybody in every organization is trying to be an AI hero. Can you figure out how you can help them? I mean, if the chief data officer basically has 10 things the CEO has asked them, if you can make them the AI hero, I think they're going to be your champion. So pick the one who has the right things laddered up to them, make them the heroes, and everything ladders up towards you.
You know, and one thing that we addressed it when we were preparing is like, should enterprises be rushing as they are rushing today to adopt AI, or is,
Oh yes,
Okay.
I think this, it's not a matter of, it's not a choice. I think you're going to be look, each technology, everybody in this room lives the world of technology. We live here in the valley, so we have no choice. The exponential curves of every technology shift have just gotten more and more exponential, if I can use that word, so parabolic. So I think look at the amount of like when Romesh was talking, each day we hear 200 new things. So I think you're going to be left behind. Each week you are staying at the same place actually means you're basically 10 steps behind every day. So you cannot stay stagnant. So I firmly believe that nobody has a choice.
That's great. On that note, I'm going to put both you to test now. On a lighter note, last question. Thinking about AI for good, say, I attended a Microsoft Research seminar a few weeks back, and there was a question that they posed to top AI researchers in the world. So today, if you can build something on AI that doesn't exist at all, so that's if you individually, Amit and Anurag, could build, what would that be? Keeping AI for good in mind. Anurag, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I wasn't going to have the AI for good angle, but we've been doing some.
You've been doing it.
Yeah, we've been doing some loneliness work, which is, you know, a massive epidemic, especially in Europe at this point in time. So we've been building chatbots, you know, natural language query conversations for multiple governments and cities in enabling that conversation. And it's actually fascinating to see how that evolves. It scares me a little bit because then, you know, it's again more screens. But my answer actually was going to be around food, which I think can be quite for good. So I'm a Bengali. Bengalis like food, as is well known. And I've been searching for the best mishti doi recipe for a long time. And so if there was a way to replicate that and execute that, I'd be
I might do a plugin for Nimble AI. I don't know who investors are, so you should check that out. Yeah, You, Amit.
By the way, I love Bishti Doi. Yeah. So if you find it, let me know. I'll definitely go there. I have two teenagers. If I could have AI help me figure out what teenagers think.
Okay, can I join you too?
Yeah, I think that'll be a valuable thing for at
That's
least
right.
all the parents in the room. But jokes apart, I think that uh, a little bit personal. I think all of us in this room have gone through it. We have aging parents or parents who are basically not necessarily living with us. And I think as everybody is aging, I think, and by the way, I feel like there are two ends of the spectrum. Uh, People who are aging and separated from us, and also I feel like the teens these days. Uh, Technology, I think, well, for the teenagers has created, I feel, that sense of loneliness in a different way. And if there was AI, if AI can truly help us genuinely um, forget all the revenue and cost, if we can create a human connection in a way, and we can, bring back some of those things that are breaking bonds. At least, look, my parents live in India. My family is mostly in India. My kids are here, but they're all growing out and leaving home. I kind of feel like if there was a way AI can help us create the social bond in a different way, so we can all get more connected than more separated that technology has done, I think that'll be a world that I would love to live in.
That's amazing. No, let's give a round of applause. Thank you so much.